Hey guys, it's Kelly. I am back with a process video and today's layout is for Stuck Sketches. I had just posted the layout before and I am going to be sticking pretty close to the sketch. And one of our sponsors for this month is Charms Creations, and they were so nice and sent us a few embellishments to use on the layout as well. So for me, I built my supplies around the embellishments they sent. Now, that may seem like a big deal, but it really wasn't because the star that I'm going to be using is white and cream. And it's kind of like a fabric burlap, maybe with like a little bit of, it's not tulle, but it almost looks like it. It's a stiffer tulle. And there's some sewing details, so it's really very pretty. And because it's so neutral, you can go with just about anything, but I was inspired to stay with a mostly neutral palette, and I knew that I had some of these papers left in an old Hip Kit. I think this is from November 2015, and I thought that they would work well with it, and I decided to also bring in a pop of the teal slash turquoise, whichever color you want to call this paper. So that is my jumping off point. I knew that some of these were good to use because they were not full sheets without, with the exception of that turquoise paper. But if I've had something in my stash for a few years, I have no problem cutting into it just for a strip of paper. So this sketch is perfect if you are looking to bust into your stash with all of the strips that go along both sides of the photo. You can completely do this page with just scraps of paper. The other thing that I brought in to this as well was my washi. Again, this is a great use your stash sketch, and I have not pulled out my washi lately, so I decided to go ahead and do that as well. So I decided that I wanted a few more strips of pattern paper on top of the strips of washi. So I found this Hip Kit exclusive as well that was still in the kit that I had not used, and I'm going to add a few more strips of paper. Now I like both sides of this paper, and I thought that it would be neat to maybe have like a little pop of that color, but I end up using it. I end up either not using it or using it to where you can't see any of the red whatsoever, so it just still looks very neutral. But you will see me play around with these strips of paper quite a bit, and finally I'm just like, I'm going to go ahead and stick a couple of these strips together because I know that I definitely want to use these two strips, and I can play for quite a while if I let myself, and so sometimes I just have to make myself commit and have a starting point, because otherwise I could just push paper around and play. For me it's fun, so I don't mind it whatsoever. So I know that I have said this about sketches before, but I'm definitely going to be using this sketch again. It is so easy and versatile. I modified it just to use one 4x6 photo that I have, but it's easily adaptable to, two 3x3 or 4x4 photos. She has it shown with two 3x4 photos. Just because you have a sketch that has one thing shown does not mean that you have to keep it that way. So this is where I decide that I want to use the washi, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it down, and at a later time I'm going to come back and tear it up and then rip the washi for a torn edge. I just felt like that everything was just a little too straight, and I do like the effect that you get when you tear your washi. Something about that not so quite perfect edge that just really makes it perfect for me. So one thing that, if you remember with the sketch that they had, was the appearance of some stitched circles, and I do know that I want to do that as well. I am trying not to use a lot of adhesive at this point because I know that I want to stitch and I don't want to gum up my needle on my sewing machine. So I am going to put some foam, craft foam behind my photo and just give it a little bit of dimension. This just does not get old for me. It just is something that I love. I don't care that it makes me take up a little bit more room in my scrapbooks. There is just something so pleasing to my eye about having things with different dimensions that I will just do this until I decide I don't like it anymore. So right now what I'm doing is just shopping around for embellishments, trying to figure out what I want where. This photo is of my kids. I take them to a park that is close by and take their pictures for our Christmas card. This was one of them that I really liked. It was not the ultimate one that we chose, but I liked it so much. I did want to make sure that I got it down. And it just, you know, it's one of those that just makes my heart happy. They both have a nice, you know, not a forced smile, and, you know, they look like they like each other, which at this moment they did. So you gotta put these memories down. So that tag is a basic gray tag, and I liked the way that it repeated some of the elements in the paper. And, you know, this layout has white and cream both in it, and sometimes that drives me bonkers, but for these papers, I really loved it. It helped that the embellishment had both of those colors with it, and I think that it can be done. And, you know, I know that there's some ways that you can do it nicely, and I know that there's some ways that I've seen that I haven't liked it quite as much. I don't know that I can tell you why I like this one so much, other than I think that the white paper with the polka dots that I have cut in half with that strip so you can only see half of the polka dot, I think for me that is what ties everything together. So like I said, I'm going to stay pretty true to the sketch. I don't mind changing up sketches. In fact, I like doing that as well. But sometimes it is just so nice to have a sketch that you know the dimensions work, and you can just do a not much thought into your layout, if that makes sense. And I did do this in the middle of December, so for me, that was one of the things that I needed at the moment, was just to be able to follow the sketch and let it take me where it goes. So I am going to use some adhesive to adhere these words to the star. I am using zip dry adhesive. This is something that I have had in my stash. I am not giving up on my Scotch adhesive, but I had clogged the bottle and I needed to get the clog out before, you know, I could use it. So if you clog up your bottle, let me tell you what worked for me. I ran it under warm water in my sink, and a lot of the glue came out of it, but there was still a clog in the tip. So I sat it upside down to where the water was, you know, still sitting in the top of the bottle. And I just let it hang down into the drain of my sink so that the water could slowly, I guess, get in with the glue. And overnight, it was able to get the clog out. So, sorry if you can hear my kitty. She has decided to join us. Juliet is with me. So in looking back, when I was looking through the video, I decided that I wanted some gold glitter washi to be added. I felt like the tag had that pretty gold glitter, and you know, when there's a little bit of glitter, sometimes you just need to add a little bit more. So I pulled out this washi that I have in my stash. I'm not sure who makes it. It might have been a Recollections or something that I got from Joann's. And I just wanted a little bit of it to show. You know, sometimes for me, you can have too much glitter, and I did not want that to be the case with this. I really want this to be more of a subtle page, and I do like the way that it turned out. So at this point, I am getting close to where I know that I like things. That naughty and nice piece I thought was perfect, and then when I pulled up that ampersand triangle, I thought that would complete that cluster. So here is my cheat way of stitching circles on the layout. I pulled out one of my circle dies that I had, and I just lightly traced a circle and went to my sewing machine, and I just made each successive circle a little bit bigger and a little bit wonky, and I love the way that you can see some of the circles peeking through the doily. I did stitch this in gold thread and didn't have a problem with my gold thread. Sometimes I have issues with it snapping or breaking. But for me on this page, the gold stitching was what made this layout. So again, I'm going to pull up that gold washi up top just for a little strip, not a lot, but just helps to bring that gold around the page. And I like it when you can repeat your elements, and I just think that it brings some continuity to the page. So I realized in looking back at this layout, I didn't quite finish it. I did not put the date, and I didn't check the check boxes. I'm actually going to check both naughty and nice just for fun, because you know, when you have teenagers, they can be good and they can be not so good. So the sketch had some stars, and because the Charms Creation star was a star, I thought that I wanted to add a few more stars. And I have these gold sequins from a Felicity Jane kit sitting on my desk. And you know how I get with sequins, and I pushed these around, and I saved you the trouble of watching me push quite a few of them around. And what happened was, when I was pushing some of them, they got on the circle or pretty close to it, and that was when I thought, well, you know what, I really like the way that it looks. I didn't want to clutter up my layout. I had already thought that I would not do any splatters of mist because I really liked the clean look of this page. And so I decided that I was just going to adhere the sequin stars around the circle, and then just put a couple in both of the clusters, the one to the left of the photo and the one in the top corner. So that's pretty much it for me today. Thanks so much for joining me. Be sure and check out the Stuck Sketches blog post, and you can see what the other designers did with this sketch, and join us, and you would be eligible to win a prize from one of the sponsors. So I have some close-ups at the end. Let me know what you think, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.